రన్
See now the one package
పర్లేదు
installed.
మీ
You can see now this .env is going to show here also. Yeah, you can see here
Yeah, dependency.
dependencies. You can find that. Now that error is gone. So now this error is gone. So this, and you can see the error is gone. You also install this. Just give npm install .env. Next time onwards, you won't see these errors. Okay. So that is the one thing. Now let's get start with we'll create a fixers before going for fixers. We'll do that fixers later. First, we should have a pages. Yeah, one more thing we have to implement. So authentication or login. So login related, how it has to pick up. So that auth related, we'll see, but basically it's a login related. So you need to get the credentials, right? So that credentials you can get. So here, just create one auth.ts and we'll get the credentials based on the role. Role means you want a standard user or you want a locked user or you want a performance user. So you can use any one of them. So how can we get the required credentials? To get that, I'm going to create one get credentials .ts file, auth.ts file, and one function will write get credentials function will write, and there we'll write all switch cases. So first I'm going to create one interface also. For login, you need only two fields, username, password. These are the two fields that credentials you can use. So that so interface type I'm going to create. Let's see that first file, a new file here auth.ts. So auth.ts here. So we'll create a interface. At this interface, I'm going to export interface. So why we need to create interface? We are structuring the login credentials. So you can put a auth data or whatever. Our credentials is the more meaningful credentials, and the credentials is mostly you have username, password. That's it. So your interface name you can give anything. Okay, your interface name you can give anything. Under that, what fields you want to declare. Generally, for you login scenario, you have username, password only. Username, password only will be there. Now, so now we can try to get the credentials. So export a function, get credentials. So you can give role type, okay, or user type. So user type also fine. Or better you want role type or user type, both are fine. Let's see. So role input or user input. So you can give uh, in the env file, you can declare and you can get that. So that user you can get, and password also you can get that. So this is the one way. Otherwise, uh, username. But this one we have to find out the role type, right? Let's see what are the roles we have used. Role input, user type. So user type dot to uppercase. So how we declare these user types here? All cap letters, standard user. So this ones. The same way we can get that. Const role equal to. So you can write user type dot. So basically we have to trim it. To uppercase already we did a uppercase only, right? You don't need any trim it. If any spaces are there, we have to clean up. So this is already uppercase. Why do we need again? So we don't need uppercase. Now you can, so right. So switch role. If role is a standard user, right? That is uppercase you have to use. So let me give you this capital letter because they all capital letters we are given, right? Standard underscore user we have given. If it is a standard user, so return the username and password. If it is a problem user, username, password. If it is a performance user, username, password. If it is a locked user, so username, password. Default, so you can throw unknown user type. So this is the, so all switch case. So whatever the user type you are passing, that user type. So based on user type, when you call this function, right, you will give that user type, standard user or a problem user, and it will go. And from these credentials, it will be this structure only. That's why the type of this is, it has to return credentials only. And so it will fetch, it will return for you that type. So you will get the username, password. So let me give you this code for you so that it will be easy. So let me paste here. So there are some errors. So you can easily understand whether this is file is correct. Something is missing here. Let me close. I think close bracket is missing. You do that close brackets. Here it has to end one more bracket. That's it. Okay.
Sir, we are giving switch role, right? Is it something like we have multiple users with respect to
Yeah,
in
multiple
problem?
users we have, right?
That is the
CNV. In this CNV, you have multiple users, right? Standard
yes.
user, problem user, performance user, locked out user, right? So which user you want to log in?
Yeah.
You need to get that, right? So based on this role, you can get that. So yeah, automatically it will get this uh, user. So that's what we are doing here. Okay. So when you call this function, you will give that user type. What type of user you want.
Okay, sir.
Done, Ramesh.
Okay. So once done, let's go and start pages. So we have to implement the pages. Now, so the pages are basically login page first, right? So you have to implement the login page. So then we'll implement the fixtures. I'll explain you the fixtures one by one. So that will see that one by one. First, you can create a login page. Login page.ts you can create. So in this login page, if you see that, to go to this page, yeah. So this username and password. So generally, there are locators, right? So here the locators are no identification will happen. Page fixer will be given by a Playwright by default. So you have to, in this page, you want to identify an element means there is a locator function will be there. You will use a locator function. In the locator function inside, you can give string locators, that is a CSS, or you can use a default locators also. I'll explain this default locators. Maybe we have to go to that. First, I'm explaining framework. This is the right approach or not? I'm just thinking. First, we have to learn all the basics. Different locators, inbuilt locators are there, and again, say CSS is there. XPath you can use, and ID you can use. So different locators you can use, like a name, uh, get by text, get by role. Uh, so built-in functions are there, built-in locators are there. So those locators, let me show you that. Because before going for that, we need to understand the locators. What are the different locators? So without understanding, so it's very difficult for you also. Let me go through that. So we have a locators concept. Yeah, so locators. So locators are crucial for any front-end automation. First, you have to identify the element with these locators only. Without identifying, you cannot know the playwright cannot perform action on that element in the web page. So that's why we have a auto waiting and retriability locators they have provided already. See, this is the one. So this page automatically it will provide. You don't need to create again separately. So the page fixer is you will get to directly. So page dot get by the role. So you can identify an element based on the role, whether it is a button or a link, so or text. So that role based you can identify an element. Then get by text. For example, you have a text. So purely text based you want to identify an element. You can use get by text. Or you want to identify get by label. So label where you will get generally, these are the labels, right? This is the label, username label, password label, right? This login label. These label based also you can identify an element. That's a get by label. To locate a form, control by associated label text. So form means login form, registration form, those No, you can recognize by labels and get by placeholder. So there is a placeholder attribute. You can use a placeholder attribute to recognize that element. So you will get in the HTML pages, there will be a placeholder. Let me see whether we have a placeholder for these elements or not. So you can see placeholder attribute. Using this placeholder attribute, you can identify, you can use this locator. So if there is a placeholder attribute for that element, you can use get by placeholder. Directly you can use this thing and give this value. So this placeholder value you can give. So what is this placeholder value? Username. You can give this username in that function. So that is the this get by placeholder to locate an input element by placeholder attribute. Okay. So get by alt text. So generally, images are going to have alt attribute. So that images, let me see whether we have an image here. I think this might be an image. No, there will be IMG tag. So the IMG tag is going to have that alt attribute. Search IMG tag. It's not there, but yeah, you can find wherever image is there, you can see that. Okay, so that alt attribute will be only for images. So that time you can use get by alt text. So get by title, you can identify an element by title attribute. So I hope you all having HTML idea, right? I'm assuming that. So title attribute will be for few elements where you want to show tooltip. So let me show you here. We have a, if you go to rediff.com, right? So you mouse over anywhere here and see you will get a tooltip. So this tooltip is in the title attribute. So if you find that a title attribute, see you can see title attribute here, right? This title attribute based, if you have any element as a title attribute, then you can use this get by title to locate an element by its title attribute. And most famous one is get by test ID. So you want to locate an element based on the data-test ID attribute. Generally, ID might change or class attribute might change. some other attribute might change. This data-test ID, you can provide that, and you can give a static text for each element, and this is not going to change. That's why, so this is the preferred attribute, and your Playwright will recognize this element based on the data-test ID. So we are using all for my elements this data-test ID only. We will provide data-test ID attribute, and that value I will give for that element. I will give our own static value so that it will recognize that element properly. That is the advantage with this get by test ID. If you have a data-test ID attribute, you can use this locator. So these are the, so let me show you some of the examples here. Await. So page dot get by label, username, and fill is the method. Fill is the method. You can type. Fill is just for typing purpose. It will type this value in this username text field. And get by label, password, fill screen secret password. Get by role. See, role is a button type, and the role name is, the button name is sign in. So get by role you can use. And then expect is an assertion in the Playwright. Expect is an assertion in the Playwright, and you can get by text welcome Jan to be visible. To be visible means it should be present. It should be visible. So that's a to be visible. It's an assertion you are writing here. So this is how you can use. A click is for clicking the element, and fill is for typing the text in the edit boxes. So these are the action methods, and you can use by default. Any tool you have to type in the web page, wherever there is a form, wherever there is a, so this text fields, you need to type. For typing, Playwright is providing its own function, fill function. If you want to perform click action, you will use a click method. So if you want to do assertions, you have to use expect is the keyword that will assert. So assert the value. So this value will be visible. Okay. So that is the how we are going to use a get by label, get by role. Let me show you some of them. Get by role button, name, sign in, right? Any other locators? So hover means it will mouse over on that. So get by role button, this one, this is the locator, and that locator you can mouse over and then you can click on that.
ఏముండదు వాడు అంతా లేడీస్ అంతా రాను అవుతున్నాయి మాడంతా పెద్ద బొచ్చులో రూల్స్ మాట్లాడాడు లంజావుడు లోపడు
Shekhar.
ఆటోలో బోడీలో ఎట్లా